So yesterday when I came in the classroom, or actually watched you, I noticed how you really worked to remind students to transition at a level 0 and walk quietly from their seats to the carpet, and then from the carpet back to their seats. What teacher actions did you take in order to make that so successful?
Redo over and over?
Yes, you did.
Woo! Give them the expectation
Yes.
beforehand.
What did you do? So you gave them the expectation, and what did you held to 100%. So you made them do it and then do it better, right?
Yes.
Okay, so now what I want to dive back into, based on what I saw yesterday, is I want to go into internalizing your lesson plans.
Okay.
By scripting a clear I do, and then we're going to rehearse it.
Okay, so I started with when you would call them to the carpet when you're starting your whole group lesson.
Okay.
So my first step was to call students to the carpet using the MVP language of the level 0, sit facing forward. So I would have them on the carpet. And this is just me taking the plan and scripting it how I would do it.
Okay.
So then number 2, I'm gonna state the purpose. So I would say today we will learn our race strategy we'll be using for written responses. We use the word race to help us remember what to do. I'm gonna go right into explaining it with my anchor chart. R stands for restating the question. We do this by changing the question into this statement. What is the strongest character trait Jordan shows in the story? So boys and girls, that is my question. I'm going to restate it into a statement. So let me show you how to do this.
That wasn't even the full script. So think about what the script that she just shared with you. What did you notice about that script?
I mean, she's written down every word.
Okay,
Does she write down every word from the lesson
from this
plan?
lesson.
I mean, you're more detailed than I was.
Okay,
Good.
so
And I noticed that you didn't have them writing yet.
correct, because I'm doing the what?
You're teaching them right now.
Yes. She's doing the model.
All me.
She's doing the model, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was, what did you notice about the order of her lesson? If you look at the order in which she's going.
It's perfect order.
Yeah.
It's great. It's
Yeah, so it's sequenced. So it's sequenced. So when you're thinking about a clear I do, it is you modeling.
Gotcha.
Okay, you're modeling. So when you get your lesson plan, you take out all of the extra words and you script your clear I do. Okay, that's the first part. Then it's to the point and sequenced, right? So it's to the point, it's sequenced. This exemplar, and take a look at how you scripted. Tell me what the differences are there. What is the gap between the model, her exemplar, and the script from your lesson plan?
So I realized that I mostly scripted out at the beginning with starting with the do now, with the phonics. I got really scripted there, and then my lesson is
not the scripted part.
The scripted part.
So your scripted part on your transitions and your beginning part of the block, but once you got to this whole block part is where you kind of stopped.
I sort of let my highlighter and my words
Go
right
here.
here, and I guess I should have put it all together.
So, thinking through, did not have a clear sequence, right? You didn't really have a script.
Right.
You didn't take out the extra words. It wasn't your own, right? So you did not eliminate the extra words, wasn't direct and sequential, and you basically just did not personalize it. So today, that's what we're gonna focus on for the lesson that you're gonna teach this afternoon.
Okay.
So, what do you think your action step should be?
Go back and start over and make this my own. Take out the words that I don't need.
Good.
Make it my own. Really, and try to make it engaging too for the students and not just
Perfect.
writing.
Perfect. Yeah, so then after we actually go into your script and eliminate the extra words and personalize, we're actually then going to rehearse, and that's where your rehearsing is gonna come in. So that second part of what you just said. All right, so we're gonna script your I do, we're gonna remove your extra words, and we're gonna practice delivering your script. All right, I want you to write down exactly what we're going to do. to actually script out, our ideal. You wrote yours, I wrote mine. I wanna compare our plans and what can we pull from each of those to make it stronger. Okay? So, I wanna see what you actually wrote as your scripted ideal. And you can read mine, once I
Alright.
Now, I notice here you said, so boys and girls, we're going to continue working with our race strategy. Boys and girls, yesterday, we
Learned race.
learned race is the strategy. Okay. How is mine different?
Really short. Our focus is on written response race strategy.
Okay, so I want you to go back to yours and take your extra words out.
Continue working with race strategy and for written responses.
How does that make that more concise?
Short and sweet and to the point.
Yes, it's to the point, alright? So now go into the story about Callie,
So I changed that. I don't know Kelly. So I made mine,
okay?
just like when I use my GPS in the car, there's no need to guess where I'm going. There's no need to guess. We actually have the evidence. My GPS is telling me exactly where to go. So just like in a passage, your evidence is in the passage. It's not, there's no need to guess.
So give me the script.
When we use race, we have to use the text evidence. We don't need to guess because our answer is found in the passage. So I said connect not guessing, but with a different story because I was gonna just do it real fast. Just like when I use my GPS in the car, there's no need to guess which way I go. I have my evidence of which way to go right in front of me.
Okay, keep going. So I actually used the story of Callie because I really like the intro of it and the connection back to when someone did not use the text. I can see where your connection could be the GPS. That's a real life example, so we'll keep your GPS
Okay.
connection.
Could she just not add then, and if I didn't use it?
Yeah.
Just to make that connection, when you don't use evidence, text evidence, or if I did not use my GPS, well, I would end up in the wrong spot.
Didn't use. I would be lost.
Perfect. Alright, so now go right into your teaching point.
So today we're going to practice using text evidence to answer questions and talk about the things we read. To do this, we have to look back in the text to find the answer. To do this well, we have to use race.
Okay, so now read mine.
Readers sometimes do the same thing. Instead of checking the text, we guess, like Callie, what we think is answer. His answer is not always what the text says. Today we will practice how readers use info from the text when answering questions to support their answers.
And what did I put here?
Repeat answers.
Repeat this, and then punch it. So I want you to go back to yours and just identify what your teaching point is.
Today
What is
we're
your
going to
teaching point?
practice using text evidence to answer questions, talk about the things we read, and to do this we have to look back in the text to find the answer. And to do this well, we have to use race.
How is that different from mine? It's very wordy. Okay, so what could you take from my example and your example, and how could we merge them together to make the best example? And I'll write that out. So what could we use to merge the two, or to?
No, let's use yours. Why would we?
No, well, what do you like about it then? If
Uh,
you're gonna use that, then what do you like about it? Why would you use that?
I mean, maybe this last part, to do this well, we have to use race. Just add that at the end of yours. We will practice how readers use info from the text when answering questions to support their answers. And to do this well, we have to use race.
Okay, so write that down.
We have to use race.
Why are you opting to use this script versus your script?
Oh, just cause you have the experience and you know that it's right.
No. If you notice the difference between here and here, it's concise, right?
Mhm.
So it's very concise. But what I didn't add, I didn't have on my script is what you wanted to add to your, from here. So
Mhm.
it's not about who's right, it's about saying, okay, let's create the best script. So I use this component, this component was a little bit more concise than yours, but you added this component, so let's lift my exemplar and make that a little bit stronger by adding that component. That's why you're using it.
Okay.
Okay, so now keep going with yours.
I would review the anchor chart
Mhm.
before. I just want to go over anchor chart, so just quickly go over the 4 ones, and then now let's look at a passage and use the race strategy to answer a question. How does tourism benefit the state of North Carolina?
If you notice the difference between where you headed and versus where I headed, I actually gave them clear sequence steps.
Read the
Okay,
question.
I said I'm going to read the question,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna read the article, and then I'm gonna look back in the text to find text evidence. Now, that was written here in the plan, but I'm making it very succinct and precise. So remember, sequence is important for your action steps. So 1, read the question. What's the question?
How does tourism benefit the state of North Carolina? It needs to be at the top.
Correct. Step 2, boys and girls, we're going to read the article. Step 3, once we finish reading that article, what are we going to do? Go back to the question and find our text evidence to answer that
So
question.
you wouldn't blend 2 and 3. Now let's look at the passage. And while we're looking, ooh, there's tourism word. That'll help us solve the question. You know, sort of like not just reading it. But then once you stop tourism, ooh, what was our question? How does tourism benefit the state of North
So
Carolina?
we look back, well, the skill that you're teaching them is to go back and reread.
Oh, okay.
So you can't go back and reread if
You
you're
haven't read it
doing
first.
if you haven't read it first.
So when I'm reading,
So
you
you
read
set
it and
the
let them
purpose.
process it
Okay.
with that purpose in mind.
Okay.
Yeah, so now
Then-
you have your purpose. Now you have, notice I put teacher copy, cause this is how you're annotating
After you've read it once.
after you've read it once,
Mhm.
alright? So do you have that in the script? So are you taking this component of the script, or are you gonna keep this component of the script?
This is the same as just the benefit, question first. Now let's look at the passage and
Mhm.
use race, well, I don't have to say that yet. Now let's look at the passage, and after we've read the passage, now let's reread for, the evidence of our question.